Hi, I'm Rusty. Today we're going to go over the basic introduction to the vertical mill. This is an Enco 1054 mill, and it's that because the table of the mill is 10 wide and 54 long. The x-axis is the axis that moves left to right. The y-axis is the axis that moves in and out, and the z-axis is the axis that moves up and down. This mill has a digital readout here that tells us where we're at, x left to right, y in and out, and z up and down. Now, one of the articulations of this mill is that the head can be tipped to the degree up to 45 degrees up or down. It can also be moved laterally to degrees this way. It can be moved in and out. Now, I like to keep my head of the mill stable, because to tram the head of the mill vertically up and down is quite a hard task to get perpendicular to the table. So I like to keep the head trammed in nice and square, and don't like to change this. I've made some indications that when you loosen these 3 bolts, there's a worm and pinion gear that when you turn this bolt here, if you turn it this way, it trams the head down. If you turn the bolt this way, it trams the head up. The same with this worm gear here. If you turn it up, it rotates the head that way. If you turn the screw this way, it rotates the head the other way. If you loosen these bolts, you can move the head in and out. And something about the mill is it has something called the ways. These here are tapered and keep this trammed in, and then you lock this and it tightens this. This here, once you loosen these, you rotate this and it moves the head in or out to get to a position to where you can do some milling in another direction. These here are bed locks here and here. If you get to a certain point and you want to lock the bed there, there's the lock here. This is your y-axis. It moves the table. It moves the table in and out. And when you get to a certain location, the lock for that bed is underneath the table over here. Okay? Once again, these are the ways that the table moves on, and it has a tightening device under here. This part of the machine is called the knee, and it raises and lowers here. Now, make sure you keep your hand on this lever, because if you're going down, it has the tendency to get going fast and might get out of control. Okay? Now, as you can see, I have a vise mounted on here. I also have an indexing table which rotates for if you want to do something round or something like this. Okay, this is called the quill, and it raises and lowers. You can take this, pull it out, turn it to a different point, so that if you have something you want to drill down here and it's more accessible, you can do this way. Now, this lever here is for high speed. Back here is for a lower speed. Okay? Now, I have what we call a variable speed mill. And while the machine is running, you can rotate this knob and change the speed of the mill. Other mills, you have to change the belts to a different belt speed to change the speed of the belt. Now what this is about is, depending on your drill size or the material that you're dealing with, you need to change the speed of the drill. Now a 1/4 inch drill for steel, you would want to rotate at approximately 1500 RPM, where a 1/2 inch drill, the drill speed would be approximately 500 RPM. A 1 inch drill would be a drill speed of, say, 300 RPM. So, anyway, in a minute we'll get to that. Okay? Now, these mills have a power feed. And this lever here engages the mill into power feed mode. There's a direction. This is the direction of the power feed. To push it in, power feeds the drill down. To pull this out would be to power feed the drill back up, or the boring bar. Okay? Now, if I can get Wade, my cameraman, to come over here to the other side of the mill. There's some things over here on this side of the mill. All right.
We'll cut that out.
This is the on-off switch. This is the brake. You can push the brake in either direction. Okay? Now, up here on top is something called the drawbar. This drawbar, if you pull your brake and loosen this, this loosens the chuck. Now this is threaded, and you have to tap this, and it loosens the chuck, and you can unscrew this and get your chuck out. Now this is an R8 taper. Now there's other types of mills that are heavier duty that have a different type of taper. Now I'm going to set this down right here. Now Wade, come over here and I'll show you that there are end mill holders that this is replaceable, and we'll go over different software. This is considered to be a ball mill. And this is a different end mill holder with a roughing mill. We'll go over software in a minute. Okay, now if you'll come over here and come up to here and get a close-up here, Wade, this is the feed speed, and there is 3 positions. This is the number 2 position. This is a feed speed of 1.5 thousandths per revolution. The number 1 speed is 1 thousandths per revolution. And the number 3 speed is 3 thousandths per revolution. Okay? So, I usually use the number 2 speed, and you have to rotate the quill to change the speed sometime. Okay? Now, like I say, you engage the chuck here when it's running.
Can I have you repeat that motion again?
Okay?
Oh, I see. Okay.
The quill, you sometimes have to rotate. The number 2 speed is 1.5 thousandths.
Let's pick up where you engage the chuck.
This is engaging the chuck. And when it's running, the quill will start dropping. You engage the chuck. And it will continue to feed until the quill hits the bottom here, and then it will disengage when the quill hits the stop. And this is a variable stop here. And if it's running, when this hits the stop, this will automatically disengage. Like I say, this is the direction of the feed when it's pushed all the way in. It drops down when it's pulled all the way out. It feeds up. Okay, now there's a couple of more things on this side of the mill that I want to go over. You'll come over here, all the way around here. This is a lubricant. And by pumping this feeds oil to all of these ways that these things ride on. When you move the table, the saddle, or the knee on these ways, this lubrication system lubricates the ways. And this is way oil. This oil is a special lubricant. It's kind of sticky. And it's a special lubricant. So anyway, you fill this container, give it a few pumps every now and then, and it lubricates all of these ways in your milling machine. This is the lock for the knee, and it needs whenever you raise or lower the knee, you need to lock it into the position, because if you don't lock the knee, it has the tendency to maybe drop a thousandth or two, which leaves your vise a little bit different. If you lower the knee to give a little more clearance for your next procedure, you need to go back and lock the knee. Okay, now I'm going to go over something with you about all mills have a three-phase motor. And when you get a mill, generally your house, unless you're in an industrial area, only has single-phase electricity. And so to be able to start your mill, you're going to need to get something called a phase converter. And this tricks the motor into thinking it has three phase to start the motor. And so anyway, you can either get a phase converter or you can get something called a rotophase to trick the motor into thinking the rotophase actually produces three phase. Now I have a power switch here to turn on the power to the mill. Now, can we cut for just a second while I...
Cut.
Yeah.